After the massive success of the Australia tour and another 2 successful tours in England and Germany earlier in the year, WCW, despite the domestic decline, was still booming internationally, with Nitro tonight coming from the London Arena in front of over 10,000 people in the first major televised event from England, kicking off the show with CEO Ric Flair addressing the crowd and the roster to hype the show tonight, with him announcing an 8-man 4-team tournament with the winner getting a title shot on the Nitro after the Mayhem pay-per-view, bringing out Scott Steiner to start a brawl with almost the entire roster in the ring. With Scott Hall released from his WCW contract 2 weeks back after months of Nash pushing for his return on TV, along with crowds in the buildings chanting for him and daily phone calls from fans to WCW's internet show asking about when or if he comes back, Hall finally made his return on Friday, but at an unexpected place, coming out as a surprise in an ECW house show to a huge reaction, working 3 non-televised matches on 2 shows on Friday and Saturday, with the idea of it being a one-shot deal and not a long-term agreement, with the company already in financial struggle and more than likely not being able to afford Hall on a regular basis, with him up until 2 weeks ago still on one of the biggest guaranteed contracts in the industry, with talks of him perhaps working the upcoming ECW December pay-per-view due to a legit friendship with Justin Credible for a match between them. As with Nitro from England taped on Friday, on the same day Hall made his ECW debut, the London crowd started big "We Want Hall" chants during the Nash and Thriller segment to set up their match for tonight, in what was also Nitro's highest rated segment with a 3.2 rating and a quarter, which also included the Steiner and Sting vs. Awesome and Bigelow tag match, which saw Sting and Steiner advancing. Nitro opened its second hour with the Booker and Luger vs. Kronik tournament match going 5 minutes to end, with Steiner running in to cost Booker the match, with Nitro in a quarter, which featured the tag match. In the first half of the Nash vs. Thrillers match saw the show opening with a 2.5 rating against Draw's 4.1, one of the closest margins between the shows in months, with the 2.5 rating also ending up Nitro's head-to-head peak of the night. With the WWF heavily hyping tickets being put on sale for WrestleMania 17 in April in a big press conference in Houston last Wednesday, the results more than matched the high expectations, with it being the first stadium WrestleMania in the current boom period, selling over 50,000 tickets the first day. Tickets were released on Saturday to already break the all-time US gate record set at WrestleMania 5 for the Hogan vs. Savage main event, with all indications seeing it on track to break the overall all-time record set a year later at the Toronto Skydome for the Hogan vs. Warrior match, with Kurt Angle kicking off Raw with an open challenge for the WWF title taken by Crash, bringing out Hardcore Holly making his return after months out with a legit arm injury from Angle's moonsault back in June, ending up with Edge and Christian, followed by Undertaker coming out to set up Foley booking a 6-man tag for later in the show. Nash vs. the Thrillers went 5 minutes, with Nash making several comebacks before being taken out, going against Raw's hardcore tag match of Jericho and Blackman against Kane and Test to pick Raw up over 800,000 viewers after the slow start to a 4.7 rating, with the WWF dealing with censorship issues from the PTC organization in the past year, especially during a deliberate campaign to try to get high-profile network TV sponsors off SmackDown broadcasts in late '99. The WWF decided to counter it during the week by filing a lawsuit against the fictional organization through McMahon's head attorney Jerry McDevitt, claiming that they tried to lie and intimidate sponsors to damage the company, while hypocritically were being paid by sponsors who sold WWF merchandise while publicly attempting to take them down, with McMahon meanwhile with business booming and the company now public, reportedly purchasing a private plane, with a report documenting his recent week in Texas noting that McMahon and the production crew flew on the plane 90 minutes after last week's Raw in Houston ended to SmackDown in Dallas on Tuesday morning, followed by another flight to Houston a day later for the Mania 17 press conference until a fourth flight back to Stamford at 3 a.m., as just 3 to 4 years from when McMahon almost declared bankruptcy with the company in the red. The days of him flying commercially were over. After an angle during the first hour that saw Disco and Right paying Kronik to take their place in a match against Steiner, Ric Flair booked them instead against a surprise opponent, with Bill Goldberg coming out to a huge reaction from the London crowd, taking out both to take the new streak to 18 wins in a quarter, which mostly featured a Morris vs. Storm US title match. Raw jumped over 600,000 viewers to a first-hour high 5.1 rating between 9:30 to 45 for a quarter, featuring the continuation of the Radicalz promo, with Mick Foley coming out to announce the main event for tonight, with all four Radicalz members facing Rock, Austin, Gunn and Chyna in an 8-man tag match, along with a backstage brawl that saw Kane putting Jericho through a glass window to set up their match on Sunday, and a Dudleys vs. Taz and Raven tag match going 5 minutes. Nitro's main event of Sting and Steiner against Kronik in the finals of the tournament went 6 minutes, picking the show up around 200,000 viewers to close at a 2.1 rating, ending up with Sting and Steiner going over to set up a match between them for the #1 contender on Thunder in Manchester, with Steiner immediately attacking Sting after the match to bring out Booker for the save, to end up with him laying out both with chair shots to the head, with Nitro overall drawing its highest rating in over a month with a 2.6. With the two heels in the top matches on Sunday and Triple H and Rikishi not scheduled to appear tonight with legitimate back and nose injuries, with Triple H, who had some hip and back issues made worse in a house show match last Sunday, reportedly going into the Austin match injured, with him working through it due to it being a high-profile event and a top 4 pay-per-view headliner. The announcers hyped the arrivals of Rock and Austin, with Rock entering the building over 45 minutes into the show before cutting a classic promo running down the 4 members of the Radicalz group while hyping his pay-per-view match against Rikishi in 6 days, with Raw's top-of-the-hour segment seeing the Taker and Hollies vs. Angle, Edge and Christian 6-man tag match going 7 minutes, gaining over 900,000 viewers in the first unopposed quarter to a show-high 5.5 rating. Seeing Angle trying to avoid Taker throughout the match to eventually end up with Taker pinning him for the finish to tease the strong possibility of a title change on Sunday. With the WWF noticing the recent viewership pattern of the show peaking at the top of the hour, in part because of the lead-in WCW audience only switching to Raw the moment Nitro goes off the air, but are not willing to sit through the entire show unless there's a big attraction in the main event. The formatting this week saw a change from normal, as after the usual Star Power segment or match at 10 p.m., Steve Austin came out for a promo at 10:13 to hold the audience past the usual problematic spot from 10:15 to 45 and was able to maintain the 5.5 rating, with Austin in a different demeanor saying that in the mood he is in right now he needs to be careful with his words or they will take him off the air, hyping a violent match against Triple H on Sunday before throwing the microphone and walking off. With the WWF cemented status as one of the biggest difference makers on television in its current boom period over the last few years, with Raw dominating cable television and SmackDown reviving the UPN network, the company's main competition and focus in the last few months, perhaps even more than WCW, is maintaining its reputation in the TV and entertainment worlds. And while Raw's numbers dropped significantly since the move to TNN in the fall season from its record numbers of the past 18 months, the WWF got another boost to its television status in the latest cable TV rankings, with USA Network dropping 30% in primetime average rating to take it from the number 1 rated network to its lowest ranking in years at number 6. While TNN at the same time, driven by Raw, jumped 40% to enter the top 10 for the first time in its history at number 9, with it despite the recent viewership drop on Monday nights giving the WWF more bragging rights for its ability to single-handedly turn around entire networks by the huge audience of Raw. Raw's 8-man tag main event, which saw Rock and Austin teaming up for the first time in over a year after the past week of bait-and-switch matches, went 11 minutes, jumping over 700,000 viewers to close at a 5.3 rating in the 7-minute overrun, with the layout of the match seeing Rock getting his big spots earlier than usual to set up him and Benoit brawling to the back towards the finish, while continuing the Eddie and Chyna angle to set up Austin hitting Eddie with a stunner to go over, ending the show with the go-home angle for Survivor Series with Rock and Benoit in an intense parking lot brawl until a car entered the frame, with Rikishi taking out Rock with a sledgehammer while Triple H was revealed as the driver, setting up the injury angle for Rock against Rikishi on Sunday, with Raw overall maintaining its viewership with another routine 5 rating heading into the pay-per-view.